Have you ever wondered who the last judge of Israel was, or who anointed its first two kings? Today, we read diving deep into the incredible story of one of the most pivotal figures in the Bible. Samuel. Was he just a prophet? Stick around, because his story is so much more than that. It all starts with a woman named Hannah, heartbroken because she couldn't have children. In her anguish, she prayed at the temple and made a vow to God. If he gave her a son, she would dedicate him to the Lord's service for his entire life. God heard her prayer, and Samuel was born. True to her word, once Samuel was weaned, Hannah brought him to the temple to be raised by the high priest Eli. Can you imagine that sacrifice? Giving up your long-awaited child to fulfill a promise to God? Growing up in the temple wasn't easy. Eli's own sons were corrupt and disrespected God's house. But young Samuel was different. One night, while he was sleeping, he heard a voice calling his name. Thinking it was Eli, he ran to him. But Eli said he hadn't called. This happened 3 times, until Eli, in his wisdom, realized it was the Lord calling the boy. He told Samuel, "Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" And that's exactly what happened. This was Samuel's first direct encounter with God, and it marked the beginning of his lifelong role as a prophet. God's message that night was a heavy one, a prophecy of judgment against Eli's family for their wickedness. As Samuel grew, all of Israel came to recognize him as a true prophet of the Lord. He became the last of Israel's judges, guiding the nation and leading them back to God. The people had been straying, worshiping foreign idols, but Samuel called for a national repentance. He gathered them at a place called Mizpah, where they fasted and confessed their sins. It was a powerful moment of turning back to God. When their enemies, the Philistines, heard about this gathering, they saw it as a chance to attack. The Israelites were terrified, but Samuel prayed for them, and God threw the Philistines into a panic with a loud thunder, leading to a decisive victory for Israel. Samuel even set up a stone, naming it Ebenezer, which means stone of help, saying, "Thus far, the Lord has helped us." But the people grew restless. They looked at the nations around them, all with kings, and they wanted one too. They came to Samuel, now an old man, and demanded a king to lead them and fight their battles. This request deeply saddened Samuel. It felt like a rejection, not just of his leadership, but of God's rule over them. He prayed, and God told him, "Listen to them. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king." So, following God's command, Samuel anointed Israel's very first king, a tall, handsome man from the tribe of Benjamin named Saul. At first, Saul seemed promising, but power corrupted him. He became disobedient and arrogant, making sacrifices he wasn't supposed to and disobeying God's direct commands. It broke Samuel's heart to see the king he had anointed turn away from God. The Lord eventually rejected Saul as king and sent Samuel on a secret mission to go to Bethlehem and anoint a new king from the sons of a man named Jesse. When Samuel saw Jesse's oldest, tallest son, he thought for sure he was the one. But God told him something profound. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. One by one, Jesse's sons passed by, and none were chosen. Finally, they called for the youngest, a shepherd boy named David. As soon as Samuel saw him, God confirmed, "He is the one." And Samuel anointed David as the future king of Israel. Samuel's life was a bridge between 2 eras, from the time of the judges to the age of the monarchy. He was more than just a prophet. He was a priest, a judge, a kingmaker, and a mentor. He was the moral compass of a nation, a man who heard God's voice from a young age and dedicated his entire life to serving him. His story teaches us about obedience, the importance of listening to God, and how God often chooses the unlikely and looks at the heart. So, was Samuel just a prophet? Absolutely not. He was a foundational leader whose impact is still felt through the stories of the kings he anointed and the nation he guided. What a legacy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through Samuel's life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the Bible. See you next time.